Perfect. Welcome everyone to this meeting of the Planning Committee taking place on Tuesday, the 31st of August. I will go straight into the meat of the agenda because we don't have any members of the public present. So apologies for absence. I'm assuming we haven't had any given we're all here.
That's correct.
Does anyone have any declarations of interest? Councillor Farmer.
Yes, I have two, in fact. First of all, 5/2021-2310 at 50 Alzey Gardens, which is our neighbours right near where I live. So that's a personal pecuniary interest. And I'll also declare, I think it's a personal interest rather than a pecuniary one, but I won't speak on 5/2021. I can't read my own writing, but I think it's 2292 at 69B, the High Street, which has come up before. I know one of the business owners and the premises. So I'll just blank myself out for those.
Councillor Liver, I believe you had your hand up as well.
Yes, it's just a personal interest, as I know the owners of Peach Pubs who run the White Horse. Sorry, I can't find the page at the moment on that one.
There's two for the White Horse, aren't there? There's a listed building consent as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyone else with any other interests? I can't see anywhere. If you spot one that you don't notice while we're going through, do yell at me and I'll come back to you to declare it. Minutes of the meeting of the Planning Committee held on the 10th of August. Are we all in favour of adopting those as a true record?
Thank you.
Have we received any public questions in accordance with standing orders 22 and 23?
No, Chair, none received.
Have we received any letters of objection?
There is just the one letter of objection received regarding Elliswick tennis courts, which was received by email today. I think you're all aware of.
Perfect, thank you, Mim. In that case, I think we're on to the meat of the agenda.
Okay.
It starts on page 15. So we start with applications 5/2021, 2047 and 2050 and 2247 all don't meet the criteria required for consideration. So 5/2021, 2213 at 35 Laycroft Way. Your observations on this one, then?
Okay, so we have some pictures for this one. Pictures number 1 to 4. No letters of rejection have been displayed on St Albans District Council website. This application, the proposal is showing the proposed demolition of the garage, which is sited on the left of the property, as you can see here, and the construction of a 2-storey side extension incorporated a single-storey rear extension. A separate single-storey rear extension is also proposed to be erected on the right-hand side of the property, which will run in line with the building line of the neighbouring property, which I think you can see on this particular application showing on the screen. The application shows an increase in bedrooms from 3 to 4 on the first floor elevation, with an additional bedroom / study area detailed on the ground floor. As the proposed 2-storey side extension appears to encroach on the existing parking areas on the front of the property and the proposed loss of the garage, it would seem from the plans put forward that there is insufficient parking provision within the application. First floor elevation of the 2-storey side extension has not been pulled in from the boundary sufficiently to ensure that it remains subservient to the host dwelling, and therefore the proposal overall appears to be an overdevelopment of the site in terms of size and scale. Consider recommend refusal with regards to overdevelopment of the site due to the size and scale of the proposal, which fails to ensure that the proposed additional extensions to the side of the property remain subservient to the host dwelling, and which fails to address parking provisions for the property. And I've quoted the policies which are relevant to this particular application.
Thank you, Mim. Does anyone have any comments on this one? I can't see any hands, and it's in which case a committee minded to go with the recommendation as set out. All in favour?
Yes, agreed.
Thank you.
Perfect. On to 5/2021 2216 45 West Common Way. Your comments on this one, Mim?
Right, again, we have pictures for this one, which run from 5 to 9. Again, no letters of objection have been cited on St Albans website. Now, this application, it shows conversion of the garage to habitable accommodation for use as a gym, a small single-storey rear extension at the rear of the garage for use as a study, and construction of a part single, part two-storey front and side extension following demolition of the existing side and rear extension and conservatory. It's also proposed to remove the existing chimney stack in order to make way for the proposed building works. The main bulk of the existing house remains the same in terms of two-storey extensions, with the exception of a small addition at the side nearest to neighbouring property number 43, which will incorporate a small ensuite and dressing room. This doesn't appear to have any detrimental impact on the property to the side. The part single side element of the proposal also incorporates a rear extension to the property. However, this does not appear to have any impact on any of the neighbouring properties. Proposed tree works show a number of trees which are to be removed from the site in order to allow for building works, along with pruning and raising of low canopies. And you can see on this particular pictures where they are, you've got the red circles, they are the trees which are going to be removed. So yeah, where Heather's pointing there, you can see that the red circle trees are all the ones that they propose to be removed, and they seem to be the ones that are nearest to the neighbouring properties. No details have been included within the application which suggests that replacement trees is planned. Parking provision is sufficient for this property. I've suggested that refusal is recommended. Although the committee have no objection to the proposal in principle, the application fails to address policy ESD 14 of the Harpenden Neighbourhood Plan, which requires details for the sufficient replacement of trees on a 2-to-1 basis to replace those removed from site. Concerns are expressed that the proposed removal may have an adverse effect on the amenity of neighbouring properties and also on local wildlife and its natural habitat.
Thank you, Mim. Any comments from councillors on this one? I can't see any, in which case I'm minded to go with the recommendation as set out. All in favour?
Yes,
Thank you.
agreed.
Thank you.
Okay, next one. 5/2021 2137 at 6 Salisbury Avenue. Your observations on this one, Mim?
Right, we have some pics for this one. And again, no letters of objection. So my observation was that this proposal shows small legislation, reference 522.110, which show a reduction in length to the property, but a slight increase in width in the areas where there's been a reduction in length. Photovoltaic panels have been added to the roof of the building, and a new roof and roof light have been added to the entrance lobby. The garage has also been squared up on the site, whereas it was originally sited at an angle in the previous application. These additional changes do not appear to have any impact on neighbouring properties or the street scene. It is noted that the increases in width and the change of position of the garage may affect the root protection area of trees on the site, but provided that measures are taken to protect these areas, then there may be no detrimental impact on these trees. Consider no objection, subject to appropriate root protection measures being undertaken for localised trees on the site, and the appropriate policies have been detailed.
Thank you, Mim. Any comments from councillors on this one? I can't see any hands. in which case are we minded to go with the recommendation as set out? All in favour?
Thank you.
Yes, agreed.
Thank you very much. 5 2021-2189 does not meet the criteria required for consideration. So we're on to 5 2021-2219 at 17 Ambrose Lane. Your observations on this one, Mim?
Right, so we've got some pictures for this one. There was a letter of concern from a neighbouring property. It wasn't a property that was actually linked on either side, but it was a letter of concern regarding builders' vehicles, dropping off builders' materials and builders' vans, stating that this particular road was a busy cut-through road. So that's something to bear in mind. My observations were the proposal chose property which already has a first floor front extension, and the proposal is to extend on the first floor on both sides of the front of the property. The smaller front extension will enlarge the existing third bedroom, and the larger will create space for the existing fourth bedroom. The proposed two-storey rear extension has been pulled back from the building line in order to retain the privacy of neighbouring property number 15. The ground floor rear extension has been retained within the building lines. The street scene for this property shows similar style dwellings which do not appear to offer two-storey front extensions. This particular property is sited on a bend and is proposing 2 parking spaces following the loss of the garage for this 4-bedroom property. Consider expressed concern with regards to the potential loss of amenity to neighbouring properties regarding the 2-storey front extensions. The loss of the garage would lead to insufficient parking provision for this 4-bedroom property and possible vehicle and highway conflict, and then the appropriate policies.
Thank you, Mim. Any comments from councillors on this one? Councillor Drake.
I just wondered whether the front extension to the first floor would impact on the 45-degree angle for the light to the bedrooms on the neighbouring properties. Just looking at it.
Have a look. Right, so on the plans, they've given the 45-degree line, and it shows that they won't.
Okay.
I can show you one by holding up the plans, or unless Hev wants to get up.
If you tell me it doesn't, that's
Yeah,
fine.
okay, that's fine. Yes, it shows that they don't. So
I believe Councillor Turnbull had your hand up. You're
Just
off
checking
mute.
I wasn't muted. Thanks, Chair. I also have comments about this first floor extension at the front. My reaction is that's a step too far. I can accept pushing the building line forward for 1 story, porch or garage, something like that. But I think just looking at the one of the pictures that Mim has put in the package, my reaction in visualizing 2 stories coming out at the front of the house next to the house with the car, which I think is the last picture in that sequence. I just think that's a step too far. I'm sorry.
Thank you, Councillor Turnbull. Councillor Farmer, I believe you had your hand up as well.
Yes, I did. I was just going to comment on the parking issue and potential conflict with the highway. I did look earlier. I see at the moment, at least, there's no comment in from Herts Highways on that. And I assume if they've got a real problem with that, they would say so. If Herts Highways don't object, I think there's no reason why we can't put it in. I'm just saying if they don't object, and looking at the pictures, cars do park along there, that might not carry a lot of weight. I think it's worth making the point. And with the insufficient parking, because I was also going to say it's not only that it's on a bend, it's Ambrose Lane is a fairly narrow road to get along.
Thank you, Councillor Farmer. Any other councillors want to make a comment on this one? So I'm sensing from comments from Councillor Turnbull, I'm sensing potentially that we want to go recommend refusal. But I wasn't clear on whether that's a majority consensus. So I'll put the motion as expressed concern to the committee and then see if there's a majority for that or whether we need to go something stronger. So who would be in favour of express concern as a recommendation?
2.
What, 2? And for recommend refusal? That's a majority, so we'll
Really?
go with recommend refusal.
Okay,
I think that we don't need another vote, do we? That'll carry for vote.
No, because I mean, ultimately, Matt, you didn't vote, so
Yeah, I'll
Yeah.
go with the majority of my committee for recommend refusal.
okay.
Can I just ask quickly, do we keep the same wording? It's just the wording stays the same apart from the express concern refusal bit. The reasons, for example.
Yes, yes. Because it's the same reasons, isn't it? It's the amenity caused by the first floor extension and the parking. Okay, sorry, I've just very briefly lost my place. I think the next one is 5/20/21/2246
That's
at
correct,
29 Townsend Lane. Your observations on this one, then?
Excuse me. Okay, pictures again for this one, please, Hev. Right, okay, so this proposal is showing a single garage which is to be erected on the front side boundary of neighbouring property of 31 Townsend Lane, and will replace one of the existing existing parking spaces. The application site is raised above the road level along with the neighbouring property. And I think you can see that in one of the pictures. The proposal also shows the inclusion of an electric sliding gate to the entrance of the driveway. There are concerns that the proposed positioning of the single garage due to the raised terrain of the site would have a detrimental impact on both the street scene and also neighbouring property 31 Townsend Lane. With regards to the proposed electric sliding gate, it doesn't appear to be sufficient clearance to allow for vehicles to pull off the road whilst waiting for the gates to open, which may cause disruption in the flow of traffic in the road. Consider recommend refusal. The proposed positioning of the single garage would be a dominating feature on the street scene, creating a detrimental impact on both the character of the street scene and also on neighbouring properties. The committee also recommend refusal with regards to the electric sliding gate, in that there is insufficient clearance for vehicles entering the property to allow for the safe flow of vehicles and pedestrians. And then the relevant policies.
Thank you, Mim. Councillor Drake, I'm sensing that that's a hand going up. Am I right? Councillor Drake.
Thank you. Yeah, I was having a bit of trouble reconciling the drawings of the front elevation to the picture that we've had of the house. It didn't actually look compatible to me. So I don't know, has the house been rebuilt since that picture was taken, or it just didn't look like the same frontage to me.
Okay. Can we see the picture?
just do it again, yeah. of course.
Can I interject and comment? I think you're right, John. I know the house. It's around the corner from me. There's 2 of them, and that the first house, which would be 29, has been significantly revamped. Significantly.
Right. I just couldn't recognise recognize the frontage at all. Yeah. Okay.
And all that foliage in the front garden is gone. It's just a bare front.
Right.
Have I got the correct site though? Did I get the correct site on Google?
I wonder if that's the right house, or is that the next house?
Definitely one you're showing.
That's yeah.
I mean, the
that's-
number looks like 29.
Oh, that's
Think.
29.
Yeah.
That's an old picture.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, because the number on the wall definitely is. There's a 9. There's a yes. I think it is
Okay,
29.
yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure that's a 2. I mean, my
It's all
eyesight
been-
might need testing again, but I think that's a 2.
Yeah.
It's all been revamped considerably, and I think it's now up for sale or whatever, or may even be under offer. So this application may be from the purchaser.
Yes, I think they what they did was they actually did the house up, and now they've actually just want to move the garage itself.
You can see actually when you sort of
Yeah.
compare the frontage there,
Mm.
so that's the sort of the street view, and then if you compare the frontage
Yeah.
here, you can see that there is a
Yeah.
dramatic change
Yeah.
to the
Yeah.
frontage.
Yeah,
They've built over the garage. The garage
Yeah.
is essentially gone, hasn't it? It's what it used to look like. So
yeah,
yes, Councillor Turnbull has said it's no longer the
Right.
Yeah.
picture that we see there.
that's
I-
right. Yeah.
I just
People
want,
from Google need to get their vans round.
I just wanted to ensure we were looking at the right house. That was the thing. Yeah.
Councillor Farmer.
Yes, I was just wondering as well, and taking on board the house has changed, but looking at the second street view, I know the issue's been raised about the sliding gate from the point of view of access, but I'm also wondering whether we shouldn't include it in the comments on the street scene, because it would seem to me that an electric sliding gate is not exactly in keeping with the existing street scene.
Yep.
In fact, it seems to me it would look, I thought, rather strange if you look at the location.
Is this site not a conservation area?
I don't think so.
No, I
can
don't think
check
so.
it. No, I can check it, but I don't think so.
No, it might not be. I know.
No,
Yeah.
but it does strike me that it would look, the sliding gate would look very incongruous
Mm.
within the street scene.
If I can just comment, in our street, which is in the conservation zone, there is one house with a sliding gate.
Yeah. No, there are a few in Morton, wherever that one is, the other side. I think it's Avenue. But yeah, no, I would agree. I think the gate and the garage are both incongruous with what else is in the street, which is yeah. Any other comments from councillors? Councillor Turnbull.
In that I know the street, my reaction is that the garage at that height, let alone having a garage like that in the front garden, but at that height, it's totally wrong, frankly. Bearing in mind, it's overbearing on the street scene and the houses on the other side of the road that are a much lower elevation.
Yeah, particularly given it's side on, I would have thought as well.
Yeah.
Any other comments, or are we happy to proceed to a vote? I can't see any. So in that case, I will put the recommendation of refusal to committee. All in favour?
Yes, that's agreed.
Okay, can I just ask committee, would you like me to incorporate some of the wording that you've used in your comments now?
Yeah, I think if we can pick out particularly the point about the gate in relation to the street scene as well.
Yeah.
I think committee would appreciate that.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay, on to 5/2021/1143 at Elleswick Lawn Tennis Club. Your comments on this one, then?
All right, okay, so the proposal to replace the existing 4 retractable columns, which hold 8 lights with 9 columns holding 10 LED luminaires, states that the replacement LED lighting will be more efficient, cheaper to run, and reduce light spillage. The tennis club is surrounded by various properties which are protected by an assortment of 3-metre high hedges and trees, some of which are deciduous. The proposed lighting columns are nearly 7 metres high, which is 1.5 metres lower than the existing columns. The application details that the operation hours will be from 3 p.m. until 21:30 p.m, which is 9:30 p.m, every day of the week, including bank holidays, which was stipulated by the planning inspector during the appeal process for the planning application in 2010. I've said, consider expressed concerns that due to the proposed increase in the amount of lighting columns on the site and the subsequent increase in flood lighting, this would lead to a detrimental impact on nearby residential properties. And I've quoted policy ESD 20 of the Harpenden Neighbourhood Plan and policies 69 and 80 of the St Albans District Plan.
Thank you, Mim. Councillor Drake, is that a hand?
Thank you. I'm not sure. Are these new proposed columns retractable or not?
I
Because
don't think, no,
I
I don't think they are. No.
which is the point that the resident has made in his letter of objection. And the current ones are retractable, which means that at least during the daytime they come down below the screening fence. Therefore, the new columns will certainly tower over any screening fence, and as such, must reflect a significant loss of amenity, I think. If they're not retractable, then I would be inclined to refuse.
Thank you, Councillor Drake. I had Councillor Hill, then Councillor Farmer.
Yeah, that was just the point I was going to make about the retractable effect. It's not just the light they would give out. It would be just the appearance from, you see them from the gardens of all the neighbouring properties. Just yeah, it's just unfortunate for Elliswick they're in such a built up residential area compared to some of the other places where we have floodlights in the town, really.
Thank you, Councillor Hill. Councillor Farmer.
Yeah, well, I was just going to say, I actually can remember going back with way back on the history of this, and I think when I first became a councillor was on planning back in 2007, and this doesn't say so, but there was originally an application for 9 lights for those, I think it was for those same 2 courts, and 9 columns were refused as being too many, and they then came back and got the 4 retractable on appeal. But I would point out that the 9 was refused as being a step too far, and I think that still applies, that 9 columns seems an awful lot, especially if they're not retractable.
Thank you, Councillor Farmer. Just a quick clarification on this one. When it says every day of the week, I hadn't previously picked up that detail. Does that include weekends?
Yeah, and bank holidays.
So that, yeah, so this is
That's all the time.
every day.
Mm.
Yes, well, I mean, personally, I'm inclined towards recommend refusal on the basis of the amenity impact to residents. Would councillors be minded towards a recommendation of refusal?
Councillor Cowley, I
Yeah.
don't know whether or not Councillor Turnbull was wanting to say something. He's raised his hand, so.
Okay.
Thanks, councillor. Officer, I was going to approve
Okay, that's fine.
whatever the chair was about to say.
Okay, that's fine. Carry on.
Sorry, I'd missed the little digital hand thing. Will we? Sorry, I'll have the vote again because I didn't quite catch whether it went through or not. All in favour of recommend refusal on the basis of amenity? I think that's
Yes,
unanimous,
agreed.
isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. 2299 doesn't meet the criteria required for consideration. So on to 2310 at 50 Altsea Gardens. Councillor Farmer, I believe this is one where you've got a declaration of interest, wasn't it? Okay, cool. Mim, your observations on this one?
Right, okay, so we've got some pictures on this one. This proposal, it's showing a single-storey side extension which travels the length of the dwelling house and incorporates a sloping roof with roof lights interspersed along the roof line. Although it extends close to the boundary, proposals have been included with regards to maintenance of the property and to also ensure that it doesn't have a detrimental impact on the neighbouring property. The 2-storey rear extension is shown as being 2.5 metres in depth, extending across the width of the property and will increase the sizes of bedrooms 3 and 4. Although it will lie further rearwards than neighbouring property 51 Aldsea Gardens, due to the distance between these properties, there doesn't appear to be any detrimental impact on this property, nor the dwelling house at the rear. And I think, is there another picture, Hev, which shows the next?
There we go.
Yes, so where you
Yeah.
can see on here, you can see the red line. That is the distance that the rear two-storey extension will extend. And having looked at it from all different types of angles, I felt that it wouldn't impact on the properties behind it. And those two little round circles are actually quite tall fir trees. And they tend to, those, they tend to screen the two properties behind. So I didn't feel that there was going to be any detrimental impact on those properties at the rear. Parking is sufficient for 3 car parking spaces provided, and there is no change to bedroom accommodation, and no trees are going to be affected by the proposal. Therefore, consider no objection, provided there is no loss of amenity to neighbouring properties.
Thank you, Mim. Any comments from councillors on this one? I can't see any hands, in which case I'll move that we go with the recommendation as set out. All in favour?
Yes, agreed.
Thank you.
Perfect. Welcome back, Councillor Farmer. 2021 2326 and 2277 don't meet the criteria required for consideration. So on to 2021 2278 at 4 Moorland Road. Got observations on this one, Mim?
Okay, so this one, no letters of objection have been displayed on St Albans District Council website as yet. Pictures are showing now of the property. This is a resubmission which shows the same proposal as previously submitted, but due to an error, with the block plans, it showed the wrong address, which was then subsequently withdrawn. There appear to have been no changes to the actual original application, except the application now shows photographs of the rear garden where the outbuilding is proposed to be sited. The outbuilding is to be clad in timber cladding and will be 8.5 metres wide, 6 metres deep and 2.87 metres high. The roof will house a Velux window and will consist of sedum covering. It will be connected to the host dwelling for mains electricity. The outbuilding is to be sited at the rear of the garden, partially behind the existing single garage, and appears to take up a large amount of the amenity space. No additional parking has been provided for the additional bedroom, which is contained within the outbuilding, which also contains a kitchen and other living accommodation. No trees appear to be affected by this proposal. However, concerns are raised with regards to the loss of amenity to neighbouring properties due to the size of this outbuilding, and also to the existing occupiers of the property who own the garden. I've said consider recommended refusal. The proposed outbuilding is an overdevelopment of the site and an unacceptable addition to the rear garden of this property due to its size and scale, and would therefore result in a detrimental impact on both surrounding properties and also on the current occupiers of the property in terms of loss of amenity space for the dwelling house and the proposed occupier of the outbuilding. There's insufficient parking provision at the property to accommodate the additional bedroom proposed within the proposed new dwelling space. I've put the policies that refer to this refusal, and I believe that reading up on it, I'm pretty sure that St Albans District Council recommend refusal to anything that has actual living accommodation in outbuildings as well. I think they allow outbuildings to be used for office accommodation or anything like that, but not for living accommodation.
I mean, describing it as an outbuilding when it looked like the footprint might be bigger than the actual house.
Yeah, they've referred to it as an outbuilding though, haven't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any comments from councillors? Councillor Paul.
Yeah, interestingly, there's a similar development in the back garden down the bottom of Ox Lane, actually, which is habitable accommodation. connecting sewage and all that. There's a battle going on at the moment on heights. I'm copied in, but it's all being done through enforcement. I say so. I think you can do it, or probably not. Depends how this one goes, but it's not unique. Doesn't make it okay, even if it isn't unique. Just say that in passing.
Thank
It might
you,
be a
Councillor.
trend developing.
It does seem to be. Councillor Turnbull.
Thanks, Chair. It's actually, if you look at the plan, it's actually called Granny Annex, which means it'll be occupied full time. It's not even for visitors. It's called a Granny Annex. It gives the game away.
Thank you, Councillor Turnbull. Councillor Liver.
I mean, picking up on the idea of a granny annex, you don't actually know that it will be used for a granny. I mean, it could be rented out as a private rented piece of accommodation.
Yeah.
You don't know, really. It just makes it sound more acceptable as a granny annex.
Yeah.
That's all.
And even if it was used short term as one, it wouldn't necessarily over the long term not devolve. Any other councillors with comments on this one? I can't see any. All in favour of the recommendation as set out?
Yes, agreed.
Thank you. On to 5/2021-2306 at 18 Westminster Fields. Your observations on this one, ma'am?
Okay. Right, this application is for 2 air conditioning units to be installed to the dwelling house, which is shown to be attached to the side elevation facing a private driveway facing towards the neighbouring property number 17. The neighbouring property has no windows or doors on its side elevation, which could be affected. However, the drawings do show that the 2 air conditioning units are to be installed above the fence line. And you can see, sorry, if you go back to the previous picture, you can just see there's a little red cross on there, which is where they intend to put the air conditioning units on this side elevation. They're domestic condensers and are detailed as having low energy consumption with efficient and quiet operation. They are going to be used as cooling and heating units and will be serving a kitchen, dining, snug area of the property. The application details state that they will be used intermittently. No noise report has been submitted with the application. I've suggested that we recommend refusal. No noise report has been provided to support the statement of quiet operation of the air conditioning units. Concerns are expressed that due to the high positioning of the units on the side elevation, this may exacerbate the level of noise travel and create a detrimental impact on neighbouring properties. Concerns are also expressed with regards to the high positioning of the units on the side elevation, which may be have a detrimental impact on the street scene. And I've quoted the relevant policies.
Thanks, Mim. I mean, it's very difficult to see how anyone could put this through without a noise report, given its noise is the main thing with an air conditioning unit. Any comments from councillors? I can't see any. Are we minded to go with the recommendation as set out?
Yes, agreed.
Thank you.
So I've just got to stop my computer from updating. Give me 2 seconds. There we go. Okay, on to 5/2021-2290 at 2 Aldwick Road. Your observations on this one, then?
Right, okay, no letters of objection received for this one either. I've got some pictures up which shows this property, which is on, I think it's on quite a large piece of land. The application is to extend at the side and a part of the rear of the property with a single-storey extension and to install 2-storey extensions to the front, side and rear. The The two-storey extension on the side elevation is just on the point of the 45-degree visibility display with the neighbouring property, with the front extension finishing along the same building line. The rear two-storey extension is to be sited in the middle of the rear elevation. The application shows an increase of 4 to 5 bedrooms with sufficient parking provision on the frontage of the property. No trees are to be affected by this proposal. Consider no objection provided that there is no loss of amenity to neighbouring property, number 4 Aldwick Road.
Thank you, Mim. Councillors, any comments on this one? I can't see any. In which case, are we minded to go with the recommendation as set out? All in favour?
Yes, agreed.
Thank you.
Thank you. 2308 and 2335 don't meet the criteria required for consideration. So on to 5/2021 2156 at the Croft 4 Longfield Avenue.
Right, this is the
Your-
one. Sorry,
No worries.
sorry, Councillor. This is one that I forgot to. Well, I don't know whether I needed to put pictures up or not. So, Hev, you might need to be ready for this one.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. No letters of objection have been received for this one. So this property is a locally listed building. It's set in the Harpenden Conservation Area, and the proposal is to link up gym building to the host dwelling with a single-storey side and rear extension. The proposal is also to extend the second floor area with a rear gable and roof lights in order to create an additional bedroom, which will make this bedroom a seven-bedroom home. Sorry, this property a 7-bedroom home. The existing cellar is also to be extended. The application states that no trees will be affected by the proposal. This dwelling is sited on a large plot, and the alterations suggested do not appear to have any impact on the street scene, which is made up of a variety of large properties of differing designs. Consider no objection subject to the appropriate design and use of materials on this locally listed building sited in the Harpenden Conservation Area.
Thank you, Mim. Any councillors with comments on this one? I can't see any, in which case we mind to go with the recommendation. All in favour?
Yes,
That's
agreed.
unanimous.
Thank you.
On to 5/2021 2185 at the old apiary site at Hatching Green. Your comments on this one, Mim?
All right, okay. So there was a letter from the Busy Bees Nursery, which is near to the site, or it's adjacent actually. And they have basically said that the business requests that the level of foliage stroke tree cover between the property's boundary is improved to ensure that the nursery centre is not overlooked by the proposed property. But the business has no objections to the application on the basis that this request is adhered to. So that's basically all that was on St Albans District Council website. My observations are, as we are aware, the application site is set in both the Harpenden Conservation Area and the Metropolitan Greenbelt. The site is currently has Class EG status, and therefore change of class use would need to apply. The application lays out plans to demolish the existing buildings on the site, which the application states were last used in the 1990s, shown as derelict, and to erect a new 6-bedroom dwelling with associated parking. The proposal shows a large 2-storey property, 7.3 metres in height, with a separate 3-car garage and additional parking spaces for 3 vehicles. The existing access is to be retained for garden maintenance purposes, and a new access is proposed further along the road. The new dwelling house is to be set back from the thatched properties in Hatching Green, and landscaping has been suggested with permeable paving and wildflower areas. There are no proposed windows on the first floor elevation, which is adjacent to the Busy Bees Nursery. in order to respect amenity and privacy. Ecological reports show no bat roost potential. However, bat and bird boxes are to be installed into the proposed building. Mature trees adjacent to the site have been highlighted as needing retention and protection, and the hedgerow, which is identified as priority habitat, will be retained. Any trees removed from the site will be replaced. Consider recommend refusal. This proposal represents an inappropriate and overdevelopment of the site, which is positioned both within the Harpenden Conservation Area and the Metropolitan Greenbelt. The Harpenden Neighbourhood Plan was set up to support the protection of the Greenbelt from inappropriate development, and as such, this application does not demonstrate the very special circumstances for development and has failed to demonstrate that there are no suitable alternative sites within the built-up area boundary that can be used. And I've quoted the relevant policies.
Thank you, Mim. Any councillor comments on this one? Councillor Hill.
Yeah, I think I kind of like this. I don't know why. I mean, I think there's. I know it's Greenbelt, but there's lots of development around it. The Manor Close opposite. I don't really. It doesn't affect like urban sprawl or anything. And the fact it's just in Hatching Green, it's not like that's sort of part of Harpenden anyway, really. I mean, it says it meets all the tree and ecological standards. It's set back from Hatching Close, so it's not affecting the amenity for the terraces. I think it just looks like a really quite characterful period property, ones you don't see built nowadays. So it suits busy bees have said they don't have a problem with it. Subject, we put something in the recommendation that about the wanting the trees to meet them, but to me, I have absolutely no objection with this at all. And I think it looks like a good development, an improvement of the site.
Thank you, Councillor Hill. Councillor Turnbull, you're off mute.
Right, okay, thanks, Chair. There is another site in Hatching Green on the main road. If you go out towards the rugby club, there's two houses on the right. Beyond that, there's a field that's all very neatly cut. Now, that has been subject to, I think, several years ago, and no doubt one or two other councillors may know. And I gather that was turned down because it was in the green belt, emphatically. So I would have thought with that background, I don't see how we can possibly approve this one being in Greenbelt. I mean, if you start to let up on the rules, then surely you're creating a number of precedents that can be applied elsewhere. So I'd stick with it. I'd say refuse Greenbelt, full stop, until the rules in the Greenbelt are changed.
Thank you, Councillor Turnbull. I think Councillor Hill was slightly ahead of Councillor Farmer. Sorry, Councillor Turnbull, you're not finished.
I'm finished, thank you.
Oh, sorry. I think Councillor Hill, then Councillor Farmer.
Thanks. Just to comment on the Greenbelt site. My understanding was that the Manor Close and the other road, which I've forgotten, they were built within the last 20 years, 15, 20 years, I think it said on the report, and it said that that was Greenbelt, and we built, and so we released that for quite a few houses there, but which haven't got any sort of the same sort of character or appeal as this one does. So I think we can release from. I mean, it's not us to we're not deciding whether to release it from the Greenbelt. We're just giving a recommendation, and I think that this is the best we'll get on the site. And I think certain areas of Greenbelt absolutely fine, but I think this one is fine for me anyway.
Councillor Farmer, then Councillor Liver. I think you had your hand up.
Yep, thank you, Chair. I was just going to say, and it's quite difficult to see from the pictures, and I know it's set back a bit from the cottages, but that part of the conservation area has a very specific look, and it seems to me that what looks like a pretty large pseudo-Georgian mansion is not going to be in keeping with the appearance of that element of Hatching Green, which has, if you like, still that rather the rural look within the green belt. So I just think it will be out of keeping with that.
Thank you, Councillor Farmer. Councillor Liver.
Yes, I agree with Councillor Farmer. I think that it is not in keeping with the area. it would look absolutely fine on plenty of plots within Harpenden, but not by Hatching Green. And I think it's totally out of keeping with this situation. Did I read that there was something about approval for the building of 5 houses on that plot from St Albans? Did I read that, or have I dreamt that one?
No.
There was an awful lot of paper, or I read it online, that I mean, I just think that something more in keeping with the area would be more agreeable, basically, but not this.
Thank you, Councillor Liver. Councillor Paul, did I see your hand?
Yeah, I think it's a fairly heavy footprint in the green belt. There's nothing to demolish to take its place. So it's not PDL or anything. So I would support refuse at this stage. I think we look a bit silly if we went for anything else. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Paul. Any other councillors want to make any comments on this one? I can't see any more hands. In which case, because committee is split between 2 recommendations, I'll start by proposing the one that I think is the most popular, and then I will see if we still need to vote on others. So I think committee is minded towards recommend refusal. Are councillors in favour of that recommendation? That looks like a majority to me.
5, yeah.
So in that case, I think that's the recommendation we're going with.
Okay.
So, okay, I'll take that as the vote then. Again, I'm assuming we don't need to take a different vote other than that one. Okay, cool, perfect. Thank you. Okay. 5/2021/2251 does not meet the criteria. So we're on to 5/2021/2281, which I'm going to take with the other one for the White Horse, which is, the numbers just escaped off my screen. But I'll take it both together because there's no point us discussing it twice.
Okay.
Your observations on this one, Mim?
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so again, no letters of objection. And we have pictures up on the screen. My observations are that the proposals for the alterations to the White Horse Public House, with the addition of the glass link between the Grade 2 listed building and the new single-storey extension, do not appear to have changed at all, except the inclusion of plans showing details of the materials to be used in attaching the glass link to the main property. Glaze link is to be made up of transparent, double-glazed, reinforced security glass units with high-performance solar control coating, and will be attached to the Grade 2 listed building by way of grey aluminium curtain wall profiles and sealed with grey sealant to prevent rain leakage. It appears that this information may have addressed the local planning authority's reason for refusal. However, the concerns raised by the Town Council in the previous application do not appear to have been addressed. And I believe these concerns were to do with parking, and what else did we have? There was the lighting. We were concerned about impact on the local wildlife because of the additional parking. And they were just a couple of the reasons. So therefore consider recommend refusal. The committee acknowledges that the proposal may have addressed the reason for refusal raised by the LPA relating to the previous applications regarding the lack of information as to how the glaze link would be attached to the listed building. However, the committee is concerned that the reasons raised previously by the committee have also still not been addressed and may therefore impact on the Harpenden conservation area and also on the amenity of neighbouring properties. And I've quoted the relevant policies.
Thank you, Mim. Any councillor comments on this one? I can't see any. In that case, we're minded to go with the recommendation as set out.
Yes, agreed.
Okay, thank you.
Perfect. And I'm right in thinking, aren't I, Mim, that this is the same as the application later on for listed building consent?
Yes.
Okay, so can we take that as a vote for both of those? Is that okay?
Yes.
Perfect. Thank you. In that case, back to where were we? We were on page 24.
24.
5 2021 2288 16 Townsend Lane. Busy evening for Townsend Lane. Your observation on this one, Mim?
Okay, so we've got some more pictures here. Okay, so this proposal shows a replacement property increased in size, height and bulk in the conservation area. This application is to demolish the existing 3-bedroom property and construct a replacement 5-bedroom dwelling in its place, increasing it from a 2-storey to a 3-storey property. The overall size of the replacement property has increased. It is positioned at the end of Townsend Lane with properties to the side of it in Douglas Road. Its remaining neighbour on the right-hand side is separated from the boundary by a garage. The front 2-storey elements of the proposal are positioned away from both side boundaries and would not create any type of impact on neighbouring properties. The rear 2-storey element extends further back than that of number 14 Townsend Lane, but due to the separation from the boundary by the garage, would rule out any loss of amenity and will not impact on the 45-degree rule. Parking is provided for 3 vehicles on the frontage, and where formerly in the previous application hard landscaping had been suggested, this proposal is retaining hedges and soft landscaping, which is more conducive to sustainability and the ecological system, as are the suggested photovoltaic solar tubes, which are shown to be proposed for the roof. These do not appear to be able to be seen from the street scene and therefore would create no detrimental impact. However, the sustainability report also states that air source heat pumps are a consideration to be used during the building process. The positioning of these are not shown on the plans and there are no details as to size. Consider, although the committee have no objection in principle to the proposed new dwelling house, concerns are expressed with regards to the sustainability report included with the application regarding the inclusion of the air source heat pumps during the building process, which are not detailed on the plans and which may impact on neighbouring properties in terms of loss of amenity and which may also impact on the street scene in the Harpenden Conservation Area.
Thank you, Mim. Any councillor comments on this one? Councillor Turnbull.
Thanks, Chair. If you look at the proposal is also, if I understand it, to have a patio area at the rear, which will be higher than the adjoining property number 14. So my reaction is there's going to be, people are going to be looking over into the garden of 14. So I would not have a patio area in that location. You can see one of the side elevations, which shows how high that is in relation to the ground level. You can see that.
Can we get the is it this one or the previous one?
It's that one.
Okay.
I think I'm right in saying there's going to be a patio area
there.
at first floor level. I think that's what the documentation said.
To the rear.
Is it there?
Not entirely
Can't see
sure.
that.
I presume it's that little raised area at the back, is it?
Yes.
Sorry,
Yeah. No, I hadn't-
apologies. Okay.
I'm pretty certain I read the documentation as that being sort of an area that you could sit out on.
I think I'm right in saying, Heather Strike Mim, whoever's mouse that is, it's the picture on the top, it's the square on the left, the white square.
This one
No.
here, or that one there?
That one. I think, am I right, Councillor Turnbull?
No, it's that. I think it's that there. I'm concerned. It's the other side of the building at the rear. That's at the front, at the rear of the building. That the ground slopes away there. So where you're looking at the moment, that's the front of the building. the ground then slopes away to the back of the property.
Right.
So if you go to the rear of the property, not where your little markers at the moment, the other right there, that's it exactly.
Ah,
I
yes.
think that's
Right.
supposedly a sitting out area. If I read the plans correctly,
That's where they've got the pergola area, isn't it? I think?
exactly, pergola. So it's a
Yeah.
pergola at first floor level.
Oh,
Okay.
And am I right
Well,
in
the-
presuming that little dotty line
I was
next
just
to it is the
gonna-
hedge line?
Let's see
think.
what number 16 turns on. I just, oh golly. Huh, I was going to see if there was a suitable image to be able to help us, but I'm not sure that there probably is.
it's at first floor level.
I just was wondering if any of these would help us, but there's so many of them.
Yeah, there are a lot.
Yeah.
So we've got. So we've got.
So this, yeah, so I think it is. There's this kind of this pergola thing that I think, as we quite rightly sort of identified, is this area here.
Yeah,
And that's at first floor level.
Yes,
that's
because
what I read it
it's
to be.
this image that I'm looking at here, proposed first floor plan. And it's got this mention of the pergola there, but is that actually at ground floor level with the option of people walking out onto it? Because of it's very clear that this is, looks like sliding glass doors from bedroom 1 with the ability to walk out above this sort of structure.
See,
I
I
may
Yeah,
be
but on the
wrong,
on the bottom of that image, there is a key, and there is a number next to that pergola thing that we suspect is a pergola that I think is the number 7, but it's very small.
see,
Which
Um,
is this image
Is it
here?
possible to make that image bigger?
Yes.
I took that to be a Juliet balcony.
No, I can't make. Hang on a minute. Let me see if I can try and work out which image this is. It's just
Because I
there's so
think there's a
many
key
here.
on the bottom right. I'm gonna see. Is it on the original
I
document?
do. No, that's no good. So there's so many here.
I
Hmm.
mean, if you look at the elevations, because that's the rear, isn't it?
Well, the elevations on this the presentation, Mim.
Yeah.
Well, these are the elevations here.
Yeah.
Which unfortunately, I can't make any larger.
No.
The maximum size. So I was trying to work out if I could try and get that one, find that one on this list, but it's a case of
Can I interject? I've just blown
don't
my.
know
I've
which
just
one.
blown.
Oh, a minute.
blown the-
Here we go.
I've just blown-
Right. We may be
I've just-
on.
I've just
Right,
blown
okay.
I've just blown the picture up, and there's an item, little 2 against what I was pointing at before, and little 2 actually says new slate roof, new brickwork, new slate roof. So obviously I've been totally confused. So my apologies. I thought that was a pergola looking at the plans.
Yeah. So it's just a pergola. Not. Am I right?
So number 12, which is essentially this here, is the pergola. So yes, I don't think
Yes.
that there is the ability
Yes.
to walk out onto that as initially
No.
thought.
No.
No, so what's number 3? Aluminium coping. No, I don't think there is
No.
the ability from what I can see to walk out onto anything here. What's number 5? Number 5 is reconstituted stone, which is the other sort of flat element that we were wondering about. So I'm not sure that there is the ability to walk out from what I can see
No,
here.
I think it was just large windows, because actually when you look on the elevations, it doesn't show like any
No,
large
okay.
windows and balconies and
I'll stop sharing now.
My
Okay.
apologies if my comment was a red herring, but that's what I'm looking at the small plans. That's what I concluded it to start with. So my apologies.
No worries. It's always better to be safe than sorry
Yep.
with these things. Councillor Farmer.
Happy to go with whatever other councillors feel. I'm just wondering if put in for planning permission without any details on the air source heat pumps, and I'm not sure how intermittent how often they'll be used. I guess they could be used a lot in the winter. I'm just not sure whether it's acceptable to give planning permission on the basis that that information has not been provided.
Well, the thing is, in their report, they've said that they will be built in as the design went along, and that was my concern, that
Yeah.
they were going to incorporate them, and we didn't know what they would be incorporating, and there were no details whatsoever, and it was
Yeah.
almost like, oh, we'll do our own thing as we go along.
Well, I'm not sure that one shouldn't actually refuse on that basis, because we're being asked to accept something without knowing what we're accepting.
Mm.
Thank you, Councillor Farmer. Councillor Live, did I see your hand go up?
I think that's a good point, really, because I think that was one of the issues that came out with that property along Park Avenue, was that it was retrospectively applying for something which was going to have a major impact on the design of the house and how it worked. And really, it would have been better sorted out, I would have thought, at this stage, rather than after the house has been pretty much built, really. So, yeah.
Okay. Any other comments from Councillor Hill?
Yeah, that's a good point. Just as well as that, I mean, I'm not sure if I have any strong views about this, but I just wonder whether we're comfortable with the bulk of the development as well, because it's quite a. I mean, it says something about how the height in the street scene is not taller than some of the other properties, but it's quite bulky, and some of the other properties which would be of a similar height, they're kind of, if you can get the pictures of the street scene, they kind of look like sort of half come out that way, and then that height is not sort of the whole way across. So I think it'd be quite. I mean, I know there are quite some big houses on Townsend Road, but I mean, it looks quite domineering to me, potentially.
It's also very high on that hill. Councillor Turnbull.
Thanks, Chair. I also had a question of bulk, particularly now that the height question has been raised. If you look at the house next door, and one of the pictures does show that very faintly, which has recently been rebuilt or reconverted, and its roof line is well below the proposal in this case, well below. So in some ways, it is going to be fairly dominant on that side of the street.
Okay.
So I would question the bulk, I must admit.
Are there any other councillor comments, or shall we start trying to tie all of this into a recommendation? I can't see any. Councillor Paul.
Yeah, I think the air source pumps should have been in the application wording, which it isn't. So as you say, we're signing off on something we don't know what the detail is. So I think Rosemary said that, didn't she? I think we need to incorporate something in that just to cover ourselves.
Okay, so I think if I'm pulling together everything that's been said, the committee would like something along the lines of: the committee expresses concern about the bulk, etc. scale of the development, and would recommend refusal on the basis of the sustainability report regarding the heat pump, etc. So we've sort of said on the actual house, we've got concerns about the bulk and the scale, but we would overall recommend refusal based on the fact they haven't included details of the heat pumps. Well, I'll put it to a vote. Is that along the lines of what council committee would be in favour of? All in favour of
Yes,
Okay.
agreed.
Okay,
I'm really glad, because otherwise I thought it might take me a few minutes to try and work out quite where all that was leading anyway. Perfect. So on to 5/2021 2292 at 69B High Street. Your observations on this one, then?
all right, okay. Won't keep you a second. I'll just. I know that Councillor Farmer declared an interest on that one. Making a note. Right, okay, so this one is for, where are we? This is for displaying of signs at 69B High Street, and it's for small non-illuminated hanging sign, which is to be erected on the first floor front elevation, which you can see on the right-hand side of the picture. Yep, just there, Hev, yes, that's, it's only going to be quite small. It's proposed to be a double-sided timber panelled sign with steel decorative brackets, and the panel will measure 900 by 900 millimetres. The timber amenity advertising board is to be fixed to the side of 69B High Street and will measure 700 by 1000 millimetres. The building is a Grade 2 listed building set in the Harpenden Conservation Area, and the proposed signage does not appear to be intrusive and meets the policy of signage in the conservation area. You can see on the first picture the street scene. It's not going to be, it's just going to be just next to the first window on the first floor, just there, and just on the side wall. If you come down, yeah, just along there. Yeah. So it's not going to be overly intrusive. Consider no objection, subject to the appropriate design and use of materials on this Grade 2 listed building in the Harpenden Conservation Area.
Thank you, Mim. Councillors, comments on this one? Councillor Paul, was that a hand?
Yeah. What is that, a logo or something? What's the point of the sign? Are we supposed to know?
Yes, it is a logo, and it is for Body Mechanics, they're called. The new signage is just renewing old signage to keep in line with the surrounding area. Yeah, so it's a very small one. Have we got a picture of signage, Hev?
I think just literally what you'd had already shown.
Yeah, so it's just basically
It's
just,
this.
yeah, it's not intrusive. It's very simple.
And then there's that one there.
Yeah.
Just going on the wall at ground floor level.
Yeah, and it's just to advertise the business that I think towards the back of the property, I believe.
Yeah, I think if I recall from previously, they're on the first floor and their entrance is at the rear.
Yeah.
Because I think this has come before us twice in my time. Councillor Hill, I think that was a hand.
Yeah, I think this is quite, because this is quite an unusual one. I mean, to me, the key thing about it is it's non-illuminated. I think that's quite.
Yeah.
I think things which are illuminated are kind of draw attention away from the rest of the high street. I think that's sort of a bit too much. So that's the key thing for any. If we ever get something similar to this in the future, non-illuminating is probably a good thing to look for.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Councillor Hill. Any other comments on this one? I can't see any hands, in which case we might just go with the recommendation of no objection. All in favour?
Okay,
Yes, agreed.
thank you.
We did the listed building consent for the White Horse with the
Yep.
other one for the White Horse. So on to 5/2021 2334 at 33 South Down Road.
Okay, no letters of objection received for this one, and we have some pictures. So this property is set in the Harpenden Conservation Area opposite South Down Ponds, and the application is to demolish the existing garage, which is currently attached to the neighbouring garage, and to build a single-storey extension to side and rear, along with a two-storey side and rear extension, leaving a passageway along the boundary. There are to be no additional bedrooms. The extensions are merely to incorporate internal alterations and additional en-suites. The proposed two-storey extension will not create any detrimental impact on the neighbouring property, as it is retained at the same building line. Although there is the intended loss of the garage, there still remains sufficient parking provision on the property frontage. Replacement windows are to be installed at the front of the property, which include a glass balustrade, and natural larch timber cladding is to replace the existing tar cladding at the front of the building. Consider no objection, subject to the appropriate design and materials within the Harpenden Conservation Area. So there is a slight change to the design with the glass fenestration, but other than that, no major changes.
Personally, it sounds like an improvement. Any comments on this one, councillors? Can't see any, in which case we mind to go with the recommendations set out. All in favour?
Yes, agreed.
Thank you.
Thank you. On to 5/2021, 2353, 2322 and 2338 all don't meet the criteria required. So on to 5/2021, 2214 at 74 West Common. Your observations on this one then?
Okay, thank you. Got some pictures. This property is a locally listed building, again set in the Harpenden Conservation Area, and the proposal is showing a single-storey front and rear extension and a two-storey rear extension. The single-storey front extension is an infill of the corner of the building and measures 7.25 metres wide and 2.5 metres deep, with a hipped roof with flat roof light, and which will be within the front building line. The single-storey rear element is positioned in the middle of the existing building with low-profile roof lights and offers no detrimental impact, with the two-storey element being sited away from the side elevation. This will have no impact on neighbouring properties and will measure 4.5 metres deep and 4.5 metres wide with a hipped roof. The Landi trees along the right-hand side of the boundary are shown to be removed and replaced with new mature laurels. Trees along the front boundary will be removed to make way for the new front access, but replacements will be planted in the old access space. The new access will allow for vehicles to have more space to manoeuvre to exit the site in forward gear. 3 parking spaces are provided. A bat report confirms that although no bats were sighted, evidence was found of bat usage, and it was therefore recommended the bat boxes for routing to be installed. Consider no objection, subject to appropriate design and use of materials on this listed building in the conservation area, and subject to the necessary actions being taken to protect the bats which have been identified as being present at some point at this property. Relevant policies have been quoted.
Thank you, Mim. On the tree replacements, does it meet our criteria of 2 for 1?
I believe there were quite sufficient trees being put in. Whether it actually meets them like 2 for 1, I don't know.
Close enough that we don't need to worry about it.
Yeah, I wasn't overly concerned. I don't think that they were trying to skimp at all.
Cool, perfect. Any comments from councillors on this one? I can't see any, in which case are we all in favour of the recommendation?
Okay,
Agreed.
thank you.
Okay, on to 5/2021, 2360 at 22 Hawthorne Close. Your observations on this one then?
Okay, I'll just get my files together.
All right. Okay, so this one, this property, it's sited in a very small road with surrounding properties of similar design. I think they're all small bungalows, and they're all set fairly close together. This particular property, I think, is set at the bottom of a cul-de-sac. The proposal for the single-storey side and rear extension show that they are to be linked from the dining area and will form a garden room and a workshop, and the roof form will consist of an integrated solar panel roofing system. The application states that the properties at the rear are set on a higher terrain than the host dwelling. The proposed new dormer window to the roof slope at the rear will replace existing Velux windows and does not dominate the roof form. An air source heat pump is to be installed near to the proposed link building, but no further details as to its size, noise emissions, etc. have been included with the application. An electric vehicle charging point is also shown to be installed. Parking remains sufficient and no trees or hedges appear to be affected. I've said, consider recommended refusal. The siting of the air source heat pump may create a detrimental impact on neighbouring properties and the character of the street theme. Policies ESD2 part of the neighbourhood plan and policies 69 and 72 of the St Albans district plan refer. So again, this is something that, although they're talking about putting in air source heat pumps, etc., we have no details about noise emissions, size, etc.
Thank you, Mim. I mean, my first comment would be, I think whatever our recommendation is, we need to mention the fact they've not supplied any details about the potential impact of this heat pump on neighbouring properties. Councillor Liver, is that a digital hand that I can see?
It is, but I don't know how I did that. So I shall remove it.
I will remove it. There we go.
Thank you.
No worries. Councillor Turnbull, that's a physical hand I can see.
Yes, thanks, Chair. My only point, besides the heat pump point, which has already been mentioned, is if you look at this proposed extension, it's right up against the back boundary. I don't know what road it is. I'm looking at the small the section A scale 1 to 100 plan down in the bottom left-hand corner. It's going to be right up against the boundary of the back garden of whatever these properties are in the bottom left-hand corner of that picture. Is that not a bit obstructive or intrusive?
It's single story, so
You think that's okay?
yeah.
Yeah, you can go up to the boundary, I think, the single story.
Okay.
Any other comments on this one? I can't see any. In that case, with the amended wording to include the lack of info on the heat pump, are we in favour of the recommendation otherwise as set out?
Yes, agreed.
Thank you.
5/2021/2136 does not meet the criteria required for consideration. So on to 5/2021/2249 at 12 Broadfields. Your observations on this one, Mim?
Okay, and we have some more pictures here. No letters of objection received again for this one. This property is set in a road made up of similar style properties with inbuilt garages. Proposal shows this an increase in roof height of approximately 1 metre to allow for a second story and to increase the property from 4 to 6 bedrooms. The side element of the extension will be pulled in 1 metre from the boundary of the neighbouring property of number 10 and will extend over the first floor extension. It is proposed to erect a single-storey garage on the front of the property in place of the existing access, which will be linked to the main dwelling. However, there is a large mature tree that may be affected on the boundary of the neighbouring property. And I think you can see it in one of the pictures there. Yes, so to the left of the picture where they intend to put the garage as a tree, which I think the roots will probably be affected. Consider recommend refusal. The proposal is an overdevelopment of the site with regard to the increase in roof height, creating a 3-storey property. In a road of 2-storey properties, this would create an unacceptable impact on neighbouring properties and the street scene. The siting of the proposed single-storey garage at the front of the property would be out of keeping with the street scene and would impact on the mature tree on the boundary of the neighbouring property.
Is there sufficient parking?
Yes, I think so. If you look, I think if you go back to one of the pictures, you should. Yes, so you can see on the right. No, if you go back to the picture,
This one here.
yeah, you can see where that car is. They
Oh, yeah,
can
there's
park
more there than I
there,
thought there was.
and they want to put the garage to the other side. As long as
Yeah.
they're not actually pulling the building line forward. No, they're not really
Yes, they're
pulling
not, I
the building
don't think.
line forward. So that's where you've got your cursor. That's the back of the building. And
But that's where the
that's the
garage
new,
is,
that's the
yeah.
new garage. And then to the right, they're not really pulling it forward very much.
Yeah.
I think there'll be sufficient parking.
No, that's fine. I hadn't quite clocked how big that drive was until a second glance. Any comments from councillors on this one? I can't see any. In which case, are we minded to go with the recommendation as set out? All in favour? I think that's unanimous.
Yes, agreed, yeah.
Okay, on to 5/2021 2379 at 59 Cowper Road. Your observations on this one, Mim?
This property is semi-detached property set in a road of varying designs with neighbouring property number 57 separated by an access road leading to, I think it's Aldington Place. The proposal for the single-storey rear extension with roof lights spreading along the back of the property is 3.5 metres deep, having no detrimental impact on neighbouring properties. The proposed first floor front extension will house a 3rd bedroom and increase this property from a 2 to a 3-bedroom dwelling house. Although the extension does not appear to impact on neighbouring properties, there are concerns that it may impact on the appearance of the semi-detached dwelling and the street scene. And when I actually looked online to see whether they're with its neighbouring attached property, whether that particular property had done any alterations at all, it didn't see it. I couldn't see any applications at all. So doing that first floor extension, it would actually alter the appearance of the particular 2 properties. Consider express concern with regards to the proposed 2-storey front extension, which may unbalance the design and appearance of the semi-detached properties and cause a detrimental impact on the street scene. And then the relevant policies that refer to it.
Thank you, Mim. Any comments from councillors on this one? Councillor Turnbull.
One other point, Chair, is that if you've got, first of all, I would refuse on the grounds. I think the first floor extension at the front is just totally wrong in relation to the street scene. But on the other hand, if that were built, doesn't it then get caught by the 45-degree rule, in that I assume one of these bedroom windows on the first floor is the neighbouring property? If you to draw an angle 45 degrees from the end of that window to where this supposed first floor extension would be, I think you're going to get hit by the 45-degree line.
Yeah, you can see the property line cuts them down the middle.
It's a possibility. Got my,
That said, I reckon you're just about good for 45 degrees. Because that looks like if you formed a square, it looks like it would be an exact square, because it would be 45 degrees.
Where are we? No, it wouldn't, not quite. I've got my little
Yeah.
protractor here. I don't think it would.
Yeah, I
No,
reckon. I mean, it's on the edge, but I reckon that's just about 45 degrees.
no. Not,
Blowing it up, Chair, I think it's just caught.
yeah.
Well, we'll throw in some language about amenity, whatever recommendation we go with, just so we cover ourselves on that one.
Mm.
Any other comments from councillors on this one? Okay, so Councillor Turnbull, as I understand it, would prefer to go with recommend refusal. Is that right?
Yep.
Would anyone else be minded towards that? If we could have a show of hands on refusal,
Okay, 3.
and are the other 3 minded towards express concern? Show of hands on that one. I'll cast my
Yes.
deciding on express concern then and go with that as the recommendation.
Okay.
And that appears to be the last one in item 6. So I think item 7 are appeals, aren't they?
Yep. Yes, they are.
So we've got an appeal in on number 1 Gilpin Green. And we've had a decision about 16 Glemsford Drive where the appeal has been dismissed. So those are just for noting, I believe.
They are.
And then I can get my cursor to work. I just need to go back and find my actual agenda bit. Item 8, the preservation order tree works, which are also just for noting. There weren't any,
There weren't any.
which is very easy to note. Then we've got conservation area tree works and technical applications, again, just for noting. List of weekly St Albans District Council decisions, again, just for noting. The date of the next meeting will be on Tuesday, the 21st of September at 7:30 p.m. As I understand it, that's in person.
Mhm.
Councillor Farmer, you've got your hand up.
I was only going to say, if I could, all being well, give my apologies now. I should be on holiday.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Councillor Liver.
Well, I shall also do the same if I may, because I shall also be away on holiday, but not with Roseby Farmer, but just.
Okay.
Councillor Turnbull, is it going to be a hat trick?
No, it's not actually. Can I just ask for clarification? If it's in person, is that, which hall will that be in? The one downstairs on the ground floor, or do we go upstairs to the chamber?
Chamber.
In the
Yeah,
chamber.
because
Back in the
Okay.
council chamber, yeah.
And does that mean we're supposed to be dressed with shirt and tie and jacket?
Just smart casual, really. I mean, how you are this evening is
Thank you.
absolutely fine.
Thank you.
Like to think our sartorial standards haven't slipped during the Zoom era. Okay, so and then the next Plans North Committee meeting is on Monday, the 13th of September at 7 p.m, which I assume is also in person, but don't know.
Yes, all of
And-
their meetings have been, that they went back to being in person back in May.
Fair enough. And with that, I will bring the meeting to a close at 9:05.
Lovely. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you, everyone. for
Have a
your
good
effort.
evening.